El Salvador's new president-elect is vowing to restore diplomatic ties with Cuba. Mauricio Funes says he will reverse a policy that has not recognized Cuba since the 1959 Cuban Revolution.
I said during my speech announcing running for the presidency, I would reopen diplomatic relations with Cuba because, up to this date, we would be the only Latin American country who does not have diplomatic relations with Cuba, and that's what I plan on doing.
Funes's FMLN party won El Salvador's election Sunday, ending 20 years of governance by the U.S.-backed right-wing Arena party. His announcement comes as Costa Rica also reopened diplomatic ties with Cuba after nearly 50 years. Newly declassified material has provided further evidence the Reagan administration knowingly supported the Guatemalan government's human rights abuses in its crackdown on guerrillas and leftist dissidents. The National Security Archive has released documents showing State Department officials directly reported that Guatemalan forces targeted anyone suspected of involvement with guerrillas or dissident groups. In 1984, then U.S. Ambassador Frederick Chapin also reported labor activists were being rounded up for interrogation. More than 200,000 people died under the U.S.-backed Guatemalan military between 1960 and 1996. Back in the United States, Alaska Governor Sarah Palin has announced she'll reject nearly half the federal stimulus funds allocated for her state. Palin cited her opposition to increasing the deficit and her desire to remain free of Washington control. The rejected spending includes $160 million for education and $9 million for public health. Palin becomes the third potential 2012 Republican presidential candidate to turn down stimulus funds, following Governors Mark Sanford of South Carolina and Bobby Jindal of Louisiana. This week, Texas Governor Rick Perry also rejected stimulus aid. Here in New York, dozens of people gathered at a vacant building in East Harlem Thursday to call for more affordable housing and better treatment of the homeless.
We need housing now. I'm homeless. I'm tired of being homeless. When it's $1,500 a month for a closet in New York City alone. In the Bronx, they're charging people $1,500. Section 8 is not there anymore. These housing programs that they give us are only 2 years. What happens after 2 years? We need to tell the people today that we are tired of it, and this is what we're gonna do. If there's a homeless building, we're there. If there's a shelter that they're now opening up for the homeless, we're there. We need to change now.
The event was organized by Picture the Homeless. The group says New York has up to 24,000 vacant apartments that could house every homeless family in the city. And finally, protests are underway in this country and around the world to mark the 6th anniversary of the invasion of Iraq. On Thursday, more than 24 protesters were arrested at parallel events in San Francisco. 5 of the arrested said they were Iraq veterans. Here in New York, hundreds gathered at Union Square and later outside the military recruiting station in Times Square. In Washington, D.C., a U.S. Army veteran was arrested hanging up a sign near the White House that read, "Veterans say no to war and occupation." Protests are expected to continue in several major cities over the weekend. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez.